Hey guys, welcome to the very first episode of Pavement After Hours. I'm your host, Nick Yoss, and my guest today is Hannah Miller. And
Hello.
we thought for the first episode, since it's a question that I get asked all the time, I see on the Facebook groups all the time, and that's to properly price your work. The question gets asked all the time. What square footage should I be charging for this? What square footage is everybody charging? There's no magical square foot price. When you're doing an estimate on software, a lot of times it's going to break down your bid into a square foot price. So I think that gives people the illusion a lot of times that there's a magical square foot price that everybody's charging, but every job is different. Every job is going to have different scenarios, different aspects. How far away from the plant is it? How much is a truck in that area? How much can you haul to the, in that area? We're on the state line. So in one area we can haul 22 tons on quad axles. In another area we can only haul 15 tons on tandems. So all those things play a big part. A lot of times that I see people answering the comments to, I pay $50 a ton for asphalt and I double it. You're not going to make any money doing that. You have to have a minimum, first of all, because if it's only 1 ton and you're only making $50 for that job, it's not even going to pay for your fuel or your people to go do it. So we're going to kind of go over a few different things and show you guys how to figure out what your cost is. And every company is going to have different costs. And I always say, don't worry about the other company. Figure out what your costs are, what you need, and then sell your services and your work. So we'll get this up on the screen here. I'll get my screen up and show everybody how we can figure out your overhead and then figure out what it costs for you to run each one of your trucks, your trailers, and all of that. So I kind of went over, and you can do this on a spreadsheet. You can do this on a piece of paper if you're not real tech savvy. But the main thing is your overhead. And to figure out your overhead, you need to figure out all your costs that are fixed costs. So your insurance. And I'm just going to use numbers for example. These numbers are not from anywhere, so people aren't going, blah, blah, blah. But let's say you pay $4,000 a year for insurance. If you have any office staff, even if it's not office staff, if you have somebody that goes out and measures for you, anything there, we're just going to put for figuring $10,000 for the year in an office staff. Shop, if you rent a space, if you have a yard, anything, if you're, your bills, let's just say you have a yard space, so you're paying $12,000 a year, $1,000 a month, and that covers all your stuff. And any marketing material, so if you've got business cards, literature, pens, anything there. And what you're going to do is you're going to take this and you're going to add up this total. We got, that needs to be 2,000, not 20. So you got 28,000. And then you need to find out how many days a year you can work in your area with rain days and weekends and holidays off. And we're just going to use 160 days for here. So let's put that in. And if you got $28,000 in overhead costs, divided by 160 days, it costs you $175 a day in overhead. Another way you can figure this out, you can figure out if you've done work before. Last year, if you did $280,000 worth of work or $280,000 is your goal, then you know that 10%, because 28,000 is 10% of 280. So your overhead cost is 10% or $175 a day. So you're going to do the same thing with your equipment. If you have a pickup truck, you need to figure out what your replacement cost for that pickup truck is, and let's just say $50,000, and you want to replace that every 5 years, that costs you $10,000 per year. And I have to use my calculator a little bit here. And divide that by the 150 days, it costs you about $67 a day. If you divide that by an 8-hour day, you got 8.33 cents an hour that truck costs you. And just round it up to 9. You need to figure out, so your replacement cost is $9 an hour that truck costs you. And there's some different variables you can figure in if that truck at the end of 5 years is still going to be worth $10,000 and you want to subtract that out. I don't get super technical in it. Fuel, figure out what that truck costs you per hour. I usually have figured that most of my trucks cost about $2 an hour in fuel if they're idling, if they're running. And then maintenance costs. If you've got a $50,000 truck, obviously your maintenance cost is going to be less per hour than if you've got a $10,000 truck. But once again, on a newer vehicle, you're going to be running about that $2 an hour. And don't use these numbers. Figure them out yourself, guys. It's not real hard to take how much, fuel per gallon by the mileage and just figure it out. So this pickup truck costs us $13 an hour. And then we're going to do the same thing with a seal rig. And just for easy figuring, we're going to use that $50,000 again, because then we already know that our replacement cost is $9. Our fuel cost on a seal trailer is going to be substantially less. So we're going to use 50 cents an hour. And the maintenance on it is going to be a little bit higher because it takes a little more. And then you'll want to figure out man hours. So if you pay your people $30 an hour, remember that it's going to cost you about another 26% in what you pay for taxes, overhead, unemployment, if you offer any sort of insurance or anything. So, if you factor in some insurance stuff, which your overhead is about $37, everybody's going to have different taxes, different states. Well, we're going to use a $50 per hour for a man hour. And then you can build out a crew. So if you've got 2 pickup trucks out on your seal crew, that's going to be $26 an hour because you have 2 trucks at $13 an hour. And you got your seal trailer out there, which we didn't put a total in there. $13.50. And I'm sorry, that's $12.50. And I always throw in a little bit for miscellaneous tools. Like I said, you can get down as detail-orientated as you want and figure out what tools you're using on that crew and what it costs you to replace it. But, I usually just throw in a couple bucks. And then you've got 3 people on your crew, so that's $150 an hour. So what this did is this got us what it cost for us to have a crew, seal coating crew of 3 people, is $191.50 an hour. So this is going to help. I'm going to turn this over. We're going to switch the cameras over and can turn this over to Hannah to show you guys how to actually build a bid from these numbers now. So you can use different software. If you want to put your computer up on there, you can use different software. There's tons out there in the market now. You can build your own using Excel spreadsheet. You can still even hand write a bid if you want to. You just would have to do this up on a separate sheet of paper so that you can figure out building the bid. Is everybody pretty much knows what their costs are, because if you're paying $4 a gallon for sealer, or this bid that we're going to build is going to be in asphalt. But it was the same concept. We figured out what our asphalt crew cost, what our equipment cost, what our overhead cost. And then you have to remember when you're building the bid that, for example, if you've got 3 hours it's going to take to seal coat, and you're roughly $200 an hour times those 3 hours is $600. Do you have an hour to get there and an hour back? That's going to add another $200. You're at $800. If it's going to cost you $800 in seal coat, you've got $1,600 is your bottom line on that job. So you have to at least be making $1,600 just to break even. And I don't suggest you only do the work to break even, because if you blow a tire on the drive over there, you're now going to have a tire to pay for. So you can sit here. If it's a job that you really want, you can maybe go 25%, add to it. That'd be $400 profit. If it's a job that you're like, hey, we don't really care if we get it or not, you can go 40 or 50% profit on it. The one thing that you have to remember, though, is if you have a $1,600 job and you add 25% profit to it, you didn't make $400, because 10% of that is going to be in your overhead costs. And this is where a lot of people get confused and why they don't have any money left in the wintertime. If you're in a state that shuts down for the winter, is because you're really only making 15% off that job, because 10% is going to go into your overhead. So I turn it over to Hannah now, and she's going to show you the software that we use is Pavement Soft, and show you how we build a bid and how to put in all the pricing that we have. Like, we've done this for our dump trucks, so we know how much our dump trucks cost each hour and how much our paving crew costs each hour, and then what we want to put in for a percentage. So I'll turn it over to you.
Okay. Hi, guys. So I'm actually not going to do a seal coating bid that Nick had shown you the pricing for. I'm just going to do a full remove and replace. So the pricing is going to be a little bit different on what you are going to input into your software and how you do your bids. Again, this is just an example. This is not going to help you do a bid on your own. You're going to need to use your own pricing. So you're going to go ahead and make sure you get your square footage for your job. You can do that on site. You can do it on a map, however works for you guys. You're then going to input your information for what you're going to be doing. You can then input your square footage, however you do that. And then once that's inputted, it's going to take you to your screen. Okay. So now that we have the square footage figured out and it's in here, you can see on our software that we use, it automatically will input the square footage, so I don't even have to do it again. The only thing I am going to do is I'm just going to combine the two, because we had a front lot and a back lot. So we're going to take off this second one. Alrighty. So from there, you're going to have your information, your description of the work that you're doing. Obviously, that should be on every single bid, just because homeowners and commercial residents, they don't understand exactly what's going on in their lot. So once you have that, our software that we use breaks it down from asphalt to trucking to labor to stone, all of that fun stuff. So you're going to need to input your asphalt tonnage from the plant that you're getting it from. So we have our area here. You're going to click the plant that you're going to get your mix from, which we already have our price inputted. Obviously, the depth is going to be different for every job. We're doing a 2-inch remove and replace. So here you'll see that it gave me the price of just what the asphalt is going to be. And it's going to show us right here how many tons we're going to need. So once we have that filled out, once we add our trucking, so you're just going to need to add a trucking cost block. It puts the tons right into the trucking. So you're going to do your in-house tandem, and we have $100 an hour for each one of our in-house tandems. That includes the wear and tear on the vehicle. It includes the truck driver that's going to be operating the truck, fuel, all that fun stuff into that $100 an hour rate. So figure for this job, because we have 111 tons, it's going to be approximately 8 loads. You're going to need more than 2 trucks. So this automatically will just put 2 trucks, so we can go ahead and override that. We're going to probably need about 4 trucks, just with the tear out and getting the asphalt there. Otherwise, you're going to have 8 loads to split between 2 trucks. So once we have that, we're only going to do 8 hours for 2 days on 4 trucks. So it's going to give you your overhead trucking costs, which is going to be $6,400. Now that we have that, we can go ahead and get our labor. You're going to want to incorporate your prep crew and your paving crew, because those are going to be 2 different cost factors. So we've got our grading and our paving crew. We have $175 an hour for our grading crew. And then for our paving crew, we have a 6-man crew. We have $700. So that, again, goes into the wear and tear, the equipment, the employees hourly. So you're just going to add those in there. You're going to figure 1 day for prep, 1 day for paving, for 8 hours a day each. So it's $7,000. You want to make sure that you're incorporating all of the factors that go into the job. So from the time they get to the shop to the time they get to the job site, how far it's going to take them to travel, or how long it's going to take them to travel to the job site, and if they need to get any stone, if they're going to be dumping, any of those fees also need to be incorporated. The summary down here is going to break everything down for you. You have your asphalt price for area. We're at $329, which is pretty good, give or take. You can adjust your margin. So our margin right now, it's at a 30% markup. Depending on the job, say it's a smaller job and you're like, we can live without it. You can mark that up. If it's a bigger job and you really want to get it, you can also mark it down just to kind of get more in their ballpark of the prices that they're getting from your competitors around the area. It'll also give you the asphalt price per ton based on the whole job. So we're at $252.92, which I would say that's roughly accurate depending on the job. And then we have our profit. It'll show you your profit, total project cost. So that's just kind of what we do for our proposals. Again, you have to make sure that you have your job costing in there, include all overhead just so you're pricing accurately and you're not losing money. I mean, you will get jobs where some things might go wrong and you might lose some money, but as long as you're pricing accurately and not losing money when you're pricing, you should be okay. So
hopefully this helped you guys understand on what it takes to price. Once again, I just want to make sure everybody understands that all these numbers that we use today are made up numbers. So don't be looking too far into it and pushing pause, and don't duplicate these numbers and don't sit there and be like, oh, our area, once again, everybody's area is going to be different, but all these numbers were made up just as an example so you can see how to get it and how to do it. And you guys have to make your own numbers, because I know a lot of people in the industry are gonna be like, oh, we'll just use $329 a square foot now and we'll go with it. First of all, it's a made up number. Second of all, kind of what I went back to. Yes, this will break it down and says a square foot number is $329 a square foot, but that does not mean that is the magical number to get all your work. That could be, first of all, these were made up numbers. We didn't go into as depth as we would if we were actually bidding something for ourselves. We didn't, we're not going to give you the exact numbers that we use and show our competitors our numbers. It's just a kickoff area and some examples to show you what you need to do. So don't be pausing and going, okay, we'll just use these numbers, because they're not going to be accurate. We showed you the way to do it to get your accurate numbers, and then you can price things how you want to do it. So hopefully that helps you guys out. And we'll look forward to having you guys tune in on the next episode.
After hours.